Welcome to Bible Tales. We're excited to share timeless Bible stories with you, full of faith and wisdom. If you enjoy our content, please like, comment, and subscribe to support us and stay connected. Thank you for being here. Happy listening. The Battle of Jericho, a tale of unwavering faith. Long ago, in the ancient land of Canaan, the city of Jericho stood as a powerful stronghold. Its massive, fortified walls seemed impenetrable, an intimidating barrier that discouraged even the bravest of armies. However, this was not just any story of war and conquest. It was a story of faith, obedience, and a divine plan that would change the course of history forever. The tale of the Battle of Jericho, found in the book of Joshua, Joshua 6, shows us that with God on our side, no wall is too high, no obstacle too great. The Israelites prepare for the promised land. The Israelites had spent 40 years wandering in the wilderness, led by Moses. They were freed from slavery in Egypt, but their journey was far from over. Now, under the leadership of Joshua, Moses' successor, they were standing on the cusp of the promised land. It was a land flowing with milk and honey, a place where they would finally find rest and make a new home. However, before they could enter and settle, there was a formidable challenge ahead of them: the city of Jericho. Jericho was not just any city. It was a mighty fortress. Its tall, thick walls were built to keep invaders out and protect its inhabitants. The people of Jericho were confident in their stronghold, knowing that no army had ever been able to breach their defenses. But the Israelites were not just any army. They were the chosen people of God, and He had a plan far beyond what any human could imagine. God's unusual strategy. As Joshua approached Jericho, he was met by a mysterious figure, a man holding a drawn sword. Joshua asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" The man replied, "Neither. I am the commander of the army of the Lord." Joshua 5 verses 13 to 14. Joshua realized he was in the presence of an angelic being, a divine messenger sent to deliver God's plan. God's strategy for conquering Jericho was unlike any military tactic known to man. There would be no battering rams, no catapults, no conventional warfare. Instead, God instructed Joshua to gather the Israelites and march around the city once a day for 6 days, accompanied by 7 priests carrying trumpets made of ram's horns. On the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times, and at the sound of a long blast from the trumpets, the entire army was to give a great shout. Then God promised the walls of Jericho would fall flat. Joshua 6 verses 3 to 5. Joshua, though surprised by these unusual instructions, had complete faith in God's plan. He called the priests, the soldiers, and the entire assembly of Israelites together and relayed God's command without hesitation. The march around Jericho. The first day of the march was filled with anticipation. The people of Jericho watched from their walls, confused and amused by the sight of an army marching silently around their city. There were no battle cries, no threats, only the sound of footsteps and the occasional blast from the ram's horns. The Israelites walked in silence, their trust placed not in the strength of their swords, but in the power of God. Day after day, the same ritual was repeated. By the 4th day, the people of Jericho began to mock the Israelites. "Look at them," they laughed. "Do they think they can bring down our walls with their marching?" But the Israelites paid no attention. They continued their silent march, knowing that God was working in ways unseen. On the 7th day, the atmosphere changed. The Israelites rose early in the morning, hearts pounding with excitement and faith. This was the day God had promised. They gathered and began their march, circling the city 7 times. By the end of the seventh lap, the priests raised their trumpets and blew a long, loud blast. The sound echoed through the air, filling the hearts of the Israelites with courage and sending shivers down the spines of the people of Jericho. Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." Joshua 6 verse 16. The fall of Jericho's walls. With a mighty roar, the Israelites lifted their voices in a great shout. The ground began to tremble beneath their feet, and in an incredible moment, the walls of Jericho started to crack. Bricks crumbled, stones tumbled, and the once mighty walls collapsed completely. The city that had seemed so impenetrable was now defenseless, reduced to rubble by the power of God. The Israelites charged forward, taking the city with ease. They spared Rahab and her family, as she had hidden the Israelite spies earlier. Joshua 2 verses 1 to 21. Showing kindness and aligning herself with the God of Israel, the rest of the city was destroyed as an offering to the Lord, fulfilling his command. The lesson of Jericho. Faith and obedience triumph. The story of the Battle of Jericho is more than just a tale of military victory. It is a powerful lesson about faith and obedience. God's plan made no sense from a human perspective. Marching around the city for 7 days seemed like a strange and ineffective strategy, but the Israelites chose to trust God rather than rely on their own understanding. This story teaches us that faith often requires us to step out of our comfort zones and act in ways that seem illogical or even foolish to the world. When we obey God, even when we do not fully understand his plan, he can bring about miraculous results. Application to our lives. In our own lives, we all face walls of Jericho, obstacles that seem insurmountable, challenges that make us feel small and powerless. It might be a struggle in our personal life, a difficult situation at work, or a problem in our family. Like the Israelites, we might look at these walls and wonder how we will ever get through them. This story reminds us to place our trust in God. Instead of trying to solve everything with our own strength and understanding, we should seek his guidance, just as Joshua did. God's ways are higher than our ways, and his plans are far beyond what we can see. By allowing him to lead, we invite his power into our lives, and he can tear down the walls that stand in our way. The vessels of God's purpose. In many ways, we are like the vessels used in this story, the trumpets and the obedient people who carried out God's command. Our bodies, minds, and hearts are the vessels through which God's power is displayed. When we allow ourselves to be filled with faith and obedience, we become instruments of his will. Just as the Israelites were vessels of God's miraculous victory, we too can be vessels of his love, grace, and power in the world.